some ground to cover.
Quite a bit. Seems like I'm back.
Yes, Mike, and it's the same thing. I'm trying to send you the invite. The co-host invite is playing up again. But anyway, let's press on and see how we go. It's great. Okay. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. And of course, we know that it has been a boring market overall from a price perspective. Now, from a TitanX ecosystem perspective, price-wise, it's the same story. But fundamentals, we're strong, and we continue to build, and we continue to, I would say, we're waiting, of course, for the market to turn, and for prices to improve. I think what we have seen over the week, it's got an expression of concerns as to the lack of price action on the TitanX level, but we can't look at TitanX in isolation of the broader market. And I think what we could do with is a bit more patience and just keep an eye on the price. When I say the price here, rather than the price. I don't know if that makes sense. The bigger picture is what I'm getting at here. If we look at the TitanX ecosystem, we have a backstop that is the envy, quite easily could be the envy of most protocols that are of the same profile of TitanX. And so I don't think we should overlook that at all. I think we can continue to express our observations and concerns, but at the same time have a better understanding as to where we are as an ecosystem. I'm not going to propose to go through the stats that we normally go through in our usual way, because you know what, not much has changed from last week when we went through, when we went through the stats, and we do that. Of course, we do that on a weekly basis, and if we want to, as an individually, we can of course go onto the TitanX stats page and take a quick look at the stats. So I'm not going to go through it in the detail that I normally go through it. I think today we can have a discussion, because if you look at the Telegram groups of various TitanX projects or protocols, the level of negativity is such that it really just begs the question whether is this coordinated, or it's either coordinated, or we don't have a good view or understanding as to where we are as an ecosystem and the fundamentals. Or it may be something else. And I think this really should be a session for us to discuss just generally as to how we can improve the general sentiment. It may be that the communication as to where we are as a protocol isn't getting through. And so if that's the case, we want to know what we can do better as an ecosystem to communicate better, to make sure that the fundamentals of this ecosystem are understood and understood well. So I think I would say on that note, I really want to open up the floor. Once we can exhaustively, hopefully we would have participation in this segment. But once we've discussed what our concerns, observations are, we can then move on to the build on TitanX, founders session, and get their updates and their views, of course, as to the points that I've just raised. The floor is open. Please feel free to come up and share what's on your mind.
So, if people don't mind, I'm going to tell other people's sentiments that I've been seeing offline. Of course, these aren't mine. But I hope people can understand, because some people might not be, want to say like they're budding and don't want to get into that conversation. But I think the community is mature enough to have conversations and explain where we are in the community maturely, where people can understand. So one of the first settlements, one of the first things I've been observing is like, why is the price so down? Why is the price down? And that's the first one. So if someone can explain that to the community, why the price is down.
Okay. Does anybody want to take that?
Well, I mean, I could say something. I mean, I think that it's not just TitanX. It's the entire market right now. I mean, everything's kind of like sideways and down. And in my opinion, we're just kind of in that calm before the storm market-wise. TitanX is part of the market. So, and everybody all the protocols built on top of TitanX, we're doing bonded liquidity. So everybody's paired with TitanX, which means we do really follow what TitanX does. So the markets, the whole crypto market's not dead. It is actually about ready to explode, in my opinion. Not financial advice, obviously, but there's so many possible positive things that are happening in the overall market that will translate to TitanX community as well. So in my opinion, it's more of a market, overall market thing, how I'm personally viewing it. Because we have great fundamentals. Every time I get a little bit like, what's going on? I mean, we're all building. We keep putting money into this ecosystem. We're not stopping. The builders aren't stopping. So why do we keep building and adding resources into the TitanX ecosystem? Is because it's just getting started still, in my opinion. So that's kind of how I see it.
Great, thanks, Awesome. Does anybody else have anything to add there? Add to what Awesome just said? Mike, can I call on you to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I can. I mean, it's pretty much this very similar what Crypto Awesome just mentioned. I mean, I guess we're like focused in our ecosystem, that's for sure. But I think if you just look a little bit to the left or right, all the other altcoins, you can see that's also not doing too well. But nevertheless, I guess, I mean, from my point of view is, yeah, I guess like some more people like they don't see the future and they're selling and they don't believe anymore. And I think that's just part of the game, right? Which whereas there are people who are believing and they're still here, and some don't believe anymore and they're selling, and that's what we see on the price action. I guess that's like my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And I think that begs the question, really. it is said at times you can have several people looking at the same picture and seeing different things, but they're all looking at the same picture. And I think that's what's happening here as well. But before sort of I carry on with that, dude, I'm not putting you on the spot, but please, can you, your 2 cents, please.
Jeff, do something, please.
Yes.
That's all I mean, I don't know. There's really not much more to add to it. Like, I'm backing, like, we're building, Jake's building. It seems like just, the standard, I hate to say it, but it's the standard things like zoom out, look at the wider market, all those things. We're still here. We're still doing things. Obviously, builders don't control the price. Like that's the open market. All we can do is continue to add value to it, which is what we're doing. I'm looking forward to having a call after this to continue the collaborations and building. We got some amazing stuff coming out. I mean, without going into all of my protocol updates, I'm not stopping. Like there's a shitload coming out from my end. So, and I'm looking at, I know nobody wants to rely on the buy and burn, but it's like, you have to rest easy. Like we're not relying on it, but right now the buy and burn V1 can buy up 47 trillion tokens. There's 67 trillion liquid. Like, even if it goes lower, like you can rest assured knowing that buy and burn could keep us afloat. No matter, like this is the bottom for me, in my opinion, with TitanX. Obviously, it can go lower, and it might. It's just, even if it does, I feel comfortable knowing that like we have so much more going on for us that this is, this is really where it showcases people like, did you invest more than you could afford to lose? Or do you need this money? Are you able to sit on this? Because if you're not selling, you're not taking the loss. You're just waiting for the next up cycle, the next wave. And if you can't wait for that, then you're probably over invested. That's really where it's at. So those are my thoughts.
All right. Well, I'll weigh in after Dude. Dude and I have been collaborating now for months and months and months. We've got 4 Omni chain tokens coming out. Well, I know we're not talking about protocols right now, but the crux of my ethos right now about prices down, nothing's happening. Like, what do we expect? Do we expect somebody to come in with $50,000 and say, these guys are great, look at all the excitement, I want to buy? Well, they don't see that yet because it's still in process, And it's not just Dude and I with our 4 new protocols. Just like you mentioned, there's something even coming in the wings after that. So I saw somebody tweet something very interesting. If you want to, and this is not financial advice, and I think the person said that in their tweet also. If you want to front run what's being built on X28, go buy X28 over on base. That is going to do a couple things. That is going to show, number one, it's going to show Jake that people are bullish on base and they're actually going to participate. Not just builders are going to build, because of course then the community will come after the builders build. But if we are really interested, if we really believe in the future, we should probably be accumulating the token that's going to power the future. And like I said, it's not financial advice. I'm just giving my views as a kind of a zooming out. So my last protocol, I got compensated in X28, and I sold none of it. I thought of selling a little bit of it, but you know what? I haven't, because it's over on base. It doesn't make any sense. Why should I sell $1,000 now, which I don't really actually need, and then just buy it right back at probably a higher price, right? And not everyone has that option. But I'm just telling you, if you really believe that base is where we're going to go, and you've already heard 4 protocols are coming,
And, well, 5 protocols are coming. The other one's going to take a little longer. Make your own decisions. You know, if you sit around and look at charts all day and get upset, you're just making yourself upset. You know, I believe that. So I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to say that price is not, you know, price is not the only indicator. You know, if action is happening, if builders are building, and if we have a solid product, and I don't mean one product, TitanX overall is a product. It is a very strong platform. It is not a perfect platform, but is it a very strong platform that we prevent rugs the best we can. And we've had very, 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 very few. Mike Dean has really set things up properly so that those don't get through. Who cares about a couple robot dragons? You know, who cares about them? Sweep them under the carpet. But for the most part, when you've got your audits, you've got your docs founders, you've got your tokenomics 100% explained and shown up front, that is the product. If you think there's a better one out there, invest a little bit over there. If you can't find one, well, make your own decision then. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, James. Again, the floor is open. I'd really like to hear from our community members who are not builders and hear their perspective. Because I'll tell you what I've seen over the course of the last week. It's a negative sentiment that I'm trying to look for a better way of putting it, but there's no other way. And it seems that the group seems to moving from one Telegram group to another, and carrying the same sentiments with them. And this is not healthy. It's not healthy for the ecosystem at all. And if we don't talk about it, then, you know, it definitely will spread. It has spread across our various Telegram groups, and I think it's something that we can deal with. We can discuss and get a better outcome, because, you know, I think, James, as you said, this is a really strong ecosystem. We've always had an open approach to discussing issues here, and we know we have these spaces on a weekly basis. So there's nothing that we can't discuss here. And I think the approach of a certain set of people, and I'm not trying to point fingers or trying to, but the fact is that it is the same set, it seems, of community members or people who are members of the group or of these Telegram groups. It seems the same set who have been offended or feel offended are just taking that same negative sentiment that they built up in one group and just moving on to the next group and pointing fingers at the group that they just left, or that they've been, they have, for whatever reason, been restricted from participating in. They move in to another TitanX group or move to another TitanX group, and they start, pointing fingers and attacking the TitanX group that they just left. I don't think that's productive at all, because an onlooker, someone who comes in and takes a look at the discussion, they may just feel, you know what, no, thank you. And so I think we can all. Again, I'm not suggesting that we cover things up and we don't air our grievances. If there any grievance that needs to be aired, then let it be aired. But I think what I'm saying is the approach that's adopted and that I've seen over the last week and has really been there for it's just that it's come to a certain level and it can't be ignored. And adopting that approach is definitely not the best approach. And if one has the best interest of the community at heart, I think we will be grown-ups about how we approach whatever grievance we feel, that we have. again, I think Dude mentioned this. Fundamentals, very important. We look at the total circulating supply, just over 98 trillion. Liquid supply, 67 trillion. Now, if you look at the buy and burn, just the TitanX protocol buy and burn, it's over 12 trillion, and that's at ETH prices at the moment, which we know is, on the low side. Now, if you add the buy and burns of TitanX, DragonX, Hydra, and Hyper, you have anywhere just over 18 million USD. Now, looking at the total circulating supply, over 98 trillion, we mentioned earlier. In USD terms, it's worth just approximately 26 million. We can easily, and remember this, I said the total circulating supply. So we're talking about we're talking about TitanX that isn't really on the market. You look at the state TitanX, you look at the BOT protocols TitanX that are locked in the BOT protocol. So I'm saying the entire lot, the 98 or over 98 trillion. If you were to buy and burn these tokens, you will end up with less than 30%, or anywhere between 25 to 30% of what's classified as total circulating supply. There are not that many protocols out there that can boast of what TitanX has. So in effect, we know that there's only one purpose that the buy and burn pools can serve, and that is buy and burn TitanX, whether directly or indirectly. That's the only purpose of these pools. Deploying these buy and burn pools at the right time would make the difference. We've already experienced what happened in August, from August to October last year, when V2, the buy and burn V2 pool was deployed. And I think it was in excess of 25 million. We had a mini bull market when everything else in the market was going down. Now, can you imagine what will happen if deployed when everything is going up and you deploy the buy and burn in that environment? We've experimented and found out what will happen with a market that's going, south or going on a downward trend. We have been able to see what would happen when you deploy a buy and burn, a healthy buy and burn pool within the TitanX ecosystem. We went north when everything else was going south in the broader ecosystem, the broader crypto ecosystem. I don't understand why we can't exercise a bit of patience here. We know the builders who we're part of the same community. The builders here, the intimacy the builders have with the community is not something you can find easily within the ecosystem, the entire crypto ecosystem. And we can't overlook that. So I say, let us exercise a bit more patience. We know the bull market, we're in the bull market. We know that the next leg up is around the corner. Do we know exactly when? No. But we know that it's coming. So the arguments that you have on these buy and burn pools and the second guessing the intentions of our builders is really counterproductive. That is really my view. And if one understands, and this is why I said earlier, we all could be looking at the same picture and seeing completely different things. And so I think before we go out there and start talking negatively about our builders, about the various protocols that we have in the ecosystem, I think we can take some time to really understand properly what's going on here. And that's really what I have to say. Now, I hope nobody thinks that I'm preventing them from saying anything. because I think I heard, there's someone who said in the Ouroboros chat that during one of the spaces, someone wanted to say something about deploying the buy and burn pool, and that I cut them off. And I think Mike and I here over the course of how many months, I think what we try to do is to encourage a very open atmosphere to discuss any concerns, any observations. So of course the person could point out exactly who it was they claimed was cut off. But I think I'm going to use this opportunity here again to say, listen, this is an open floor. Feel free. If you have any concerns, any observations, any questions, please feel free to come up and raise those concerns. Okay, so I think I would have to pause here now, and I think we have. I think the opportunity definitely is still there for anyone who wants to, come up and share to do so. So thank you, Mas. Over to you.
Mm-hmm. So I think a thing that people also need to look at is TitanX and go over the white paper again. Like the white paper explains a lot of how TitanX performs in the beginning and how it's going to perform in the future. So please take a look at that, because it'll give you a detailed synopsis of what protocols we're mixed with, and how TitanX is unique with those mixed protocols, and how Jake separated from those protocols a little bit. It explains to you the overall the deflationary aspect and the inflationary aspect, and how long that would take. It has graphs. So please take, and like I said, sometimes it's complicated for individuals to read and to break down. All you have to do is throw that paper in Grog and ask, hey, listen, Grog, can you break all this down to a 5th grade level for me and explain it to me just simple and easy, and it'll break it down to you however you like. I think people forget the type of protocol we're in and what that looks like. It's because there's some entry keys that make us different. First, our LP pools are fucking thick, thick as fuck. Because anybody can at any time, and when you're talking about an LP pool that's thick like ours, we get it. There's some people talking about, the LPs are too thick because thin LP pools make price go up, and that is a fact. That's a fact. But when those price pools goes up and there's not enough liquidity, people are stuck with the bag too. You know what I mean? People don't think like that. Oh, but everybody's chasing green candles. They're not even thinking about the bag. And then you have to sell it like a slippage, which is crazy. And you have to eat that slip to get out at a nice price. Like I said, because people here are to make money. Don't get me wrong, I get it. But at the same time, another statement that I wanted to make, and this is a sub note. The individuals that are talking like that are traders. They're not long-term investors. You know what I mean? And some of the individuals have been here for a while. I get it. And that's fine. And like I said, I'm not naming no names or anything. It's just but at the same time, they're traders. They trade meme coins. They want that dopamine high, and they want to. And when they don't get that high for a while, they'll be like, but you have to understand the TitanX ecosystem is dude has said it. The devs has said it. Jake has said it. This is a long-term. Why do you think that Jake put the for 8 to 10 years out? The staking protocol for 8 to 10 years out. That is a long-term play. TitanX is a long-term play, and due to the same thing. Hey man, I'm building for the future. That's not 1 or 2 years. The future's not 1 or 2 years. The future's 5 to 10. So I wish people would understand, and I hope that they understand that this is a long-term play. So if you're expecting, and the way that our ecosystem is built, that's why I told you look at the white paper, it's built differently. It's built differently. And I can't, like I said, none of this is financial advice. Just look at the white paper and see how it's built and how it's functioned. Because once you see how it's built and how it's functioned, then you'll know why this is happening outside of the, the market going down by itself. That happens. Absolutely happens. But at the same time, anytime the market has went down, like remember we dipped that 60% and people came back and ate that 60. And so but you have to look at what we're doing and how we're functioning on a mechanical level, and the white paper can teach you that. So please look at the white paper, go back over it. I know people think, because sometimes I've read the white paper at least 5 or 6 times. And sometimes when I'm reading it, I've written it the 3rd or 4th time I read it, and the 5th or 6th time I learned something new. So thank y'all for your time. Just wanted to kind of put that in there. TitanX is a great ecosystem, and please don't be deterred by individuals that are looking for a short-term outcome with a long-term play. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Musk. Yuta, and after Yuta, Chiz. Thank you.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Yes, loud and clear.
Awesome. So yeah, I apologize for being late. Being late and then sharing is usually goes against my values, but I'm gonna do it this time. So I apologize in advance. But I think people just need to ask themselves, am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? And if you can't be part of the solution, just don't be part of the problem. I mean, to me, it's not that hard. But people need to understand, moderators, builders, all of us, our bags are down too. Do you think that our bags are magically doing great when yours aren't? No, our bags are down too. So why would you come into a Telegram and start fighting your own bags and everybody else's? I mean, it makes zero sense. Picture us all being in a boat crossing a river, and the people on one side of the boat are drilling holes in it. Right? Why would you be drilling holes in the boat that we're all sitting in? It makes zero sense. And for me, if I don't have fresh capital to deploy into anything, I'm sitting on my hands and doing nothing. That's my strategy. Absolutely nothing. And everybody knows chasing green candles rarely works out for you. Shiny objects rarely work out for you. And if all else fails, shut off the damn computer, unplug, and go walk your dog. Go do something, anything, besides just sitting there all day long and complaining and going from Telegram to Telegram, complaining, getting banned in one Telegram, then going to the other, just like Friday said. I've seen it since our first TitanX dip after launch. They just go to one, and then they complain about getting banned from the other one, and then eventually they get banned from this one, and then they go to another one, and it's like, come on, are we adults here? It's becoming apparent to me that this is why most people don't make it. They just can't handle it, and it's tough. Don't get me wrong, it's tough for me too. You think it's not tough for the builders, just like the holders? You think we're not holding? I'm holding. And I would, say that the builders have just as much to lose, if not more, because we're putting, money out of our pocket to build protocols in this ecosystem. So yeah, it gets stressful for us too, but come on. I have faith, and the people building in this ecosystem have faith, or else they wouldn't be doing it. Fundamentally, nothing has changed. The statistics are amazing. If the price is down, the price is down. Welcome to crypto. This is the most volatile asset class known to man. Buckle up. And I do my best to try to not get too emotional as far as price and all these other things go. You know, I see the big picture, and it takes a community, it takes a village, it takes builders. But I would like to point out, you know, if you've forgotten who the creator of TitanX is, Jake Sharp, might want to go back and watch some of his older streams. And you might realize the kind of person that you're dealing with here. You know, this guy's not here to lose. And if you think he doesn't know crypto, go watch those streams and tell me what you think, because I believe he does. And I think we're going to be in for a hell of a ride. I'm sitting on my hands. That's what I'm doing. That is my strategy. I am sitting on my hands and letting the market come to me. That's it. Simple. And I'm trying not to cause problems and drill holes in our own boat. You know? If you're still here, congratulations. You know, welcome. If you're new, it looks like an amazing opportunity to me. Not financial advice.
Thanks, Utah Crypto. Well said, definitely. And again, to everyone, the floor is open. I will move on to Chiz and then on to Rod. Chiz, over to you.
Yeah, man, thanks. I don't really have anything to say about price action, honestly, other than for me, it's a good time. It's accumulation time, right? And I think that that's hard to do in the TitanX ecosystem if you don't really understand the ecosystem. And to a lot of newcomers and outsiders, I mean, this is the thing that I'd like to focus on is just because it is a complex ecosystem that I believe is fundamentally sound. We have to accept that it's all designed in a liquidity web around Ethereum and TitanX, right? That's the beauty of the design, and it's also the risk of the design. And so it's just about, do I understand that? Yeah. Am I in? Yeah. Is it a long-term proposition? Yeah. So personally, yeah. So the challenge that I see isn't price. The challenge is unity of message and like a distracted user base, a market that's getting rugged like up the wazoo. It's just, it's like it's a perfect storm for what we, call fair crypto. Doesn't really resonate with most people. Most people just want to get rich quick, right? Most people come to crypto to get rich quick. And so for newcomers, the question is, who's the next generation of TitanX users, right? It's a complicated narrative. I mean, I try to tell my brothers and my friends and my very complicated narrative. It does not land easy. People in this ecosystem say, oh, the future is X28 and I'm base. And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so there's a lot of complexity in the ecosystem. For me, and I think for everyone here, it's about, well, I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody else. But for me, it's about accumulating both TitanX passively and actively, and being very discerning about how I use that TitanX in the ecosystem. Okay. And I think that the biggest risk, and I'm not in Telegram groups listening to all the riffraff that moderators and builders have to deal with. And I think it's I can only imagine it's exhausting to deal with the negativity, right? And so that's just the design of the system. It's sort of this wacky empowerment of users to say anything and do anything. And so there's that, but I don't get lost in all that personally, because I've decided to be a user. I'm not building, I'm not moderating, I'm a user. And so, you know, when this space started, people are like, I'm sitting on my hands, I'm not doing anything. I'm actually doing a lot, but it's all passive income wise, right? And so for me, the question is, how do I make it simple for new users what I'm doing? And boy, it's not, because I'm building my own bank on the blockchain, right? And so for TitanX, I think that it's a niche project. It's designed how Jake designed it, but it is a niche project. It's not like one of these huge projects, and it doesn't have to be. It could be, you know, supposedly there's like, you know, 20,000 wallets, maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's 3,000 actual people or less, right? And so, like, this is a niche project that has huge upside, and I think relatively little downside. I think we're close to the downside. That's just me personally. I do. And I think we could go back down to the all-time lows and maybe below. And so for me, I'm just thinking about accumulation, right, at these lows without bringing new capital in, because I'm not bringing new capital in, and a lot of people aren't. And the question that I have for this community, especially if it's intending to move to base and then to other places, because it's one thing to builders. And I bought Uranus, I'm in Uranus, right? But it's a whole nother thing to actually build a base of operations on a new change, on a new change. And I suspect that the builders have an appreciation for it, because it's not easy to build new following and new things. And so I don't know, long story short, I don't really, whatever around price, but it is around belief. And I believe in just a few protocols, actually. One of them is TitanX. Another one is Ouroboros. And I only invest in things that personally I can use as I build my bank on the blockchain, right? That's why I'm here. I'm here to learn. I'm here to contribute if I can, but mostly I'm building my own personal bank on the blockchain. And so, okay, I'm using Ethereum to get some TitanX, maybe distribute it around a little bit. And Ouroboros is real utility, right, for me. And so I spend 80% of my time studying Ouroboros and figuring out, okay, how do I, leverage my TitanX in a safe way so I don't lose it, and use capital efficiencies, and how do I do passive income? That's what I'm focused on doing. And so I don't think TitanX is going to be attractive to the meme crowd. I really don't. I know a lot of meme guys and gals, and they're just not interested. And MemeFi, it's not attractive to the masses. It's attractive to DeFi users who want to have fun, like me. Like that's why I like Ascendant, because I like it, and I think it's going to be huge. And it's for like $1,500 right now, you can be a whale in Ascendant, and that's what I can be confidently telling people, like, okay, if you don't know what the fuck to do in TitanX, first you buy some TitanX, and then you find one project that you really like and believe in for whatever reason, and you spend time and energy, making a commitment and, being a belief-based investor. Anyway, enough said. I said too much. Peace out, y'all. Gotta go.
No problem. Thanks, Chiz. Thanks, and keep making that good art that you normally.
Well, actually, and it's not just I just mentioned Descendant only because it's a leverage play on Dragon X, right? Personally, I made my 20X on DragonX. I was very fortunate. I got in day one and I got out, of DragonX. Why? Because I thought it was the top for DragonX. I didn't like what I was hearing. I didn't like what I was feeling. I didn't like the adoption. There was a lot about DragonX that, I got into early and I really appreciated it. And it may go whatever, but, I wasn't feeling it. So, but I like the idea of a leverage play on DragonX. I've been looking for that. And so when Ascendant shows up, I was like, oh, this is this is very early. It's very high risk, but because of a marketing focused team, it's something that I think could have legs. That's just me personally. And it's something that I'm willing to put a relatively small amount of my TitanX into. And those are the kinds of projects that I'm confident saying, look, it could go to 0 or it could 1000X. It really could. Why? Because it's at $150,000 market cap now, right? 1000X is whatever. So anyway, I think that personally, I'd like to help people to start talking to other people and not talking to ourselves and starting to listen for what people really want. And what they want around TitanX is guidance. Choose one thing, not 30 things, one thing. All right, peace out.
Thanks, Chiz, and thanks for your contribution. Absolutely. I think within the TitanX ecosystem, you can find whatever you're looking for. You definitely can find it, and the ecosystem continues to be, continues to grow and continues to be built out. So definitely, I think the important thing is that people take the time to understand the ecosystem and understand the offerings that are there. So again, thank you. Just to say, a general point, nothing said here should be treated as financial advice, because it simply isn't. We're just trying to educate ourselves as to the TitanX ecosystem in particular, and to understand the opportunities better. But again, this isn't financial advice. Rod, over to you, and after you, One World. Thanks.
Hi, Plan A. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. One of the reasons I'm actually bald-headed is because I've been in crypto since 2011.
Wow.
So what I'm trying to say is, you pull your hair out if you think about price up, price down, right?
Sure.
We have the same problems that every other DeFi project has had that was good projects, or even the ones that even failed. They still have the same problem. Now, the thing is that, we're building products for very smart people. We're not building products for the average crypto investor. And I think that has a roadblock. Just like Chiz was saying, if you try to explain, TitanX and all the dynamics, and then you say, okay, there's a liquidity web with 30 projects, they're going to look at you, like a deer in the headlights. So I think, a lot of the messaging has to be simplified. How do we do that? I don't. That's one of the things that I'm always working on with TitanX too. Is how do you get the average person to, how do you educate them in a simple way before you try to explain all the ins and outs. With meme coins, people, okay, I buy this meme coin, I have potential to make 10,000x. And that's all they know. They don't care about white papers. They're not going to read them anyway. It's just, I want to see a green candle. And, back when I got in, it was only maybe 200 or 300 cryptocurrencies. And, in Switzerland, we always had the privilege, even though I'm American, but living here for a long time, we always had we were quite far within crypto, Crypto Valley and Ethereum started here. Then a lot of other places, and a lot of rules and relaxed in the beginning. But it was it was a bit easier then. Now you have 2,000 coins coming out every day. So, we're competing against all that as well. So, how do you compete against that? It's you have to focus on, okay, are we going to get these, if you want meme corners in, or people who are looking for, quick returns, that might not be the audience that we want to attract. Even though that, it's going to stagnate us from growing, we have to focus on our core product. And, the core product is smart DeFi. And those are the type of people we need to be trying to attract. I don't think we should try to, just go out for anybody, right? Because it's a hard sell. And I would just say, everybody, just to land my plane, just keep calm. Better days will come. Throughout the market, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, you're going to have 90% loss. And you have to, decide for yourself, what are you looking for? When I'm invested in these projects, when I'm buying the tokens, I'm looking for, 2040, right? And maybe this could be my retirement. I'm not looking for, tomorrow, the buy and burn is going to turn on and we're going to do 10,000x. That's not our product. So, like I said, we have to focus on knowing our product and finding the user base for that product. And if we accomplish that, then everything else will work itself out. That's all I have to say about that subject. But everybody, keep a happy face. Just be thankful that you actually have a community that's safe. That's even hard to find. And with TitanX community, this is a really safe community. Even with somebody FUDs or somebody has something negative to say, that's normal. But end of the day, you're in a safe place. And that's all I have to say about that. Otherwise, as you might have seen, I finally got creators out on TitanX 2. This is going well. So if anyone else, or if I miss anyone, please let me know. I'm happy to add. The more content we create, the more reach we achieve. And if you notice, I started, trying to promote all the videos that are being ingested, just to try to get the extra reach for users, and also try to get the extra reach for the creator, right? So if you see these tweets, please share them. It just helps everything. It helps the algorithm. And yeah, have a great day.
Thanks, Rod, and thanks for all you do. You're definitely absolutely right. I think we should know what our core product is, and this chasing green candles everywhere, particularly within the meme space. Probably that is not entirely our crowd. And of course, we know what has happened over the last few weeks. People have really been hurt by a few of these meme coins that have simply, rugged. This is pretty much, as we've said here in the past, it's pretty much stealing, pretty much people pulling the rug onto you, coming in to participate in a space that you think is fun. And your funds just end up being stolen from you. It's as simple as that. That is definitely not what we are about. And I think Jake put it very succinctly in one of his tweets a while ago. I think there's going to be a flight to quality in time to come. I think once they've tried, or people have tried a lot of other things and seen that those other things and simply don't work, they will start looking for quality stuff, and that should be our goal, to be a quality ecosystem within this industry. And I think we are well on our way. So thanks again, Rod.
Can I just weigh in here a little bit?
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you, Rod. that was helpful just to get me focused on like the core product, who's it for, blah, 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 all that. I just want to say something about, because clearly Jake is the leader of this ecosystem. It's decentralized in a really good way, both around builders and users, but he definitely defines the direction. And which is why there's, on Twitter, there's this like, Jake, where are you attitude? Like, I want, and I don't feel this way, but I think that because it's a decentralized ecosystem and not command and control from the top, what it leads to sometimes is a lack of clarity in message and consistent message. And I think the base experience is a good example where the bridge is set up. I mean, the X28 bridge, functionally, the infrastructure, that Jake built is really killer, but it's hard to appreciate unless you bid on bridges. But like that bridge it's an Omni-chain bridge, and it's really cool, right? And so Jake basically set up the infrastructure and led by Dude and James and Uranus and a community effort to like launch Uranus. Like I thought it was done really well, actually. And I think that that's like a nice first step to get over to a new chain. And I see that there are some base, leaders that are starting to pay attention to TitanX and asking about Uranus and focused on that. What's missing, however, is like a typical like one project as opposed to a TitanX ecosystem, which is 30 projects and and it's decentralized in a beautiful way. But what's missing is, even as a user, I'm guessing about what's going to happen next. I'm guessing like, what the fuck is happening with Shogun, right? I'm like, I was accumulating. I actually know it's going to be amazing just because I believe it. But I'm also thinking, well, what's going to happen with it? I'm hypothesizing maybe it's going to be over on base, and maybe there's going to be an R-bot over there. Maybe there's going to be that. Maybe there's not. And then other people are speculating and so the lack of clarity in this case, and it's no diss on Jake. He's amazing. He needs to go into his cave as much as possible, but there's no roadmap. There's no roadmap for anybody other than him. And when it happens, he'll do it, and that's cool. That's how he's operating. But what's missing is a roadmap and a strategy that people can get with and that people can coalesce around. I believe, without knowing, because I don't talk to builders other than in this space, I believe that builders are strategizing among themselves about how to launch and when to launch and what's going to happen. And yet people like me who are users and who are holders of these projects have no idea, zero. And if I don't have any idea, how am I going to really do a good job of communicating with the base people? Like I go listen, and I have no idea what to tell them, honestly, other than we've got a first project Uranus and it's here A, B, C, and D. And there's and people are like, yeah, well, what's really going on? And what's a strategy? And how is it going to, I'm like, I have no idea what to say. So for me, that's what I would call a message vacuum. And into the message vacuum, all kinds of fucking shit, pardon the language, will be thrown out there. Including, honestly, what I have to say, because honestly, I have no fucking idea what's happening over on base chain. I actually imagine that what's going to happen is there will be a liquidity web somewhere. There probably will be some Titan Farms infrastructure. Maybe there's going to be a Shogun bot army. Maybe there's, but I don't know. And so for me, yeah, it's like just putting it out there that it would be good for, in this case, the builders who are leading the charge onto a new chain to coalesce a very simple strategy and messaging approach that people like me can follow. Because otherwise, me and 300 other random loons are going to say whatever the hell we want, right? And a lot of it is wrong. A lot of it is misinformation. A lot of it is not grounded in knowing. It's grounded in speculation. And because of that, it's not adopted. So that's it.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yes, and yes, to add to that, just absolutely, that's a great point. I think when we move on, and that should be very shortly, we move on to the BOT builders segment. We should sort of delve into that a bit more. But I think Chiz, you definitely are onto something there. Definitely. One World. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Excellent. Thanks, Plan. I appreciate the efforts. Definitely seen it around, and all the founders, all the time and effort, and the streamers and everything. I've been here since the first month of the project, and I've referred about 35 people, to this space. So I kind of have a unique perspective, I guess, because I hear all of their feedback. Most of them are not on Twitter and in Telegram, but we have regular calls. I'm a former dev. I've been through all this stuff before, ran forums, built projects, and yeah, so I kind of, I guess, have maybe somewhat of a unique perspective from the psychology of, the forums, because I've really spent a lot of time thinking about what's behind the sentiment and kind of where we are at today. And I wanted to kind of share just what's most consistent in the feedback I get from all the people that I've referred to the space. So yeah, I think in the forums, this is kind of interesting. I mean, how much, FUD has really been going on for a long time in the space. And it seems that I think some of the founders and admins have just, become exasperated with a lot of that, where they're maybe a little jaded and on edge when people come in and ask questions, because such a high percentage of them have been FUD, and you have to spend a lot of time, blocking those people. It's really annoying. I mean, I've been through that before. But in terms of the sentiment, I guess the feedback I get is kind of looking back over the past 3 or 4 months in terms of, expectation of people I've referred who were investing in the space and taking part in these projects, is that, they were kind of looking at catalysts, right, in terms of how to make decisions, catalysts for the space. And a few of those were, like the big payday for TitanX, and, it was kind of presented and marketed to deploy that, relatively quickly after it happened. In addition to the hyper-deflationary narrative and the excitement around, from Jake and others, just about what's happening with hyper-deflation and the burning of the supply. And, these were the catalysts, these were what I was sharing with people and why people were getting involved in the project. And just a lot of that stuff is not kind of played out. I mean, it just in terms of like deploying the big payday or, you know, some of the buy and burn stuff. Yeah, it just hasn't played out how it was kind of presented. So that's kind of like a big part of the feedback I have from people I've referred in terms of their disappointment, and they're kind of sitting in this place where it's like, well, they're not interested in, you know, putting any more funds in the space until the catalysts that have been presented or actually play out the way that, you know, they were shared to them. And, you know, so if I have 35 people kind of thinking that way, I would assume that there's hundreds of others, you know, if we have 20,000 wallets that have maybe a similar stance. And then we get in this position where people are, you know, not interested in putting more funds in until the catalysts play out, yet the deployment of the capital doesn't want to be put in until, you know, the founder, like whether it's Jake or Eric or other people, actually see more participation and activity. And then we're in this impasse period where it's like one is waiting for the other to start and neither are starting. And then we just have a flat market where nothing's happening and founders are maybe delaying their launches because they want to see more, you know, positivity and upwards action. And it's just a strange place to be in right now. And I guess the other thing I want to say is like, the whole buy and burn strategy, like that's something I would like to have open discussions about. And it seems like in the forums, it's become like a touchy subject where there's a lot of kind of sarcastic responses from people when anyone brings it up. And I don't know, personally, I don't like that. I don't see why that can't just be discussed and strategized about. It's a big part of the ecosystem. You know, why not discuss it? I don't think we should be sweeping it under the rug like it's you know, hidden secret or something. I mean, it's a lot of money sitting there. It could have a big effect on the ecosystem. And then my last thought is, I've heard a lot of responses, you know, whether it's admin or founders or other people about, you know, buy and burn shouldn't be turned on because once it is, you know, people use it as exit liquidity and people just start selling. Like that honestly makes no sense to me. Like I don't see why that should be a factor in the decision, trying to play cat and mouse with certain investors that maybe people are thinking of that may sell. Like what? I don't know. I would like to hear some other opinions about that because I see that a lot in Telegram as a reason why we shouldn't deploy any of the buy and burn capital. I mean, it's like people are going to do what they're going to do in the market. Like it's, I don't know. So I hope that was helpful. Honestly, guys, I mean, I've been here a long time. I've been marketing on Twitter for the entire year and share everything that you guys are doing. But yeah, that's the feedback I get. That's the most common feedback I get. So hopefully that's helpful in some way. And, you know, thanks for the time, Planning.
Thank you so much, One World, and thanks for the invaluable feedback. I would like to follow up on a point you mentioned, and you said you would like to have the opportunity to share your views on the buy and burn. And correct me if I'm quoting you, you know, if I'm not quoting you correctly. Please feel free. I think we can actually use this, you know, much of this session discussing this. I hope, you know, our builders will not be kind of upset about that. But if you have anything
right away,
feel free, please. Yeah,
I'll say that part right away just because it just seems pretty clear to me. It seems kind of obvious to me. It's like, it's all about ratio, right? It's not about the price of Ethereum. Like waiting till Ethereum hits $6,000 and it's like, hey, then we turn it on. I mean, what matters more in my perspective is is the ratio of ETH to TitanX, and that looks to have bottomed right now. So it's like the ETH, like TitanX has lost ground to ETH, quite a bit over the past few months, right? So in terms of optimal strategy to deploy buy and burn, that's the key factor, in my opinion. I'd love to hear a different opinion about that, but that makes the most sense to me. So yeah.
I would agree with. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Matt. Yeah, I see.
I would agree. I would agree with you. But that's just one. That's just one way to look at it. When the buy and burns were clicked on, people were using them for exit liquidity. That's a fact. Like you can go look at the data on that. I've been here since day one. I've seen what the buy and burns do, and I also see how beneficial they are to like a safety net for individuals to come into the ecosystem. Because there are individuals that come into the ecosystem and be like, okay, so after this participation, after all this is done, where's the participation coming from, and where's your safety net to continue to burn TitanX? And you have to look at individuals when they come into our ecosystem. They think just buy and hold. Or buy and sell, like you said, mean knowledge. That's what they have. And so when people look at the buy and burn, when I hear people talk about the buy and burn, that makes them more interested in wanting to come in because of that safety net for longevity. And that's important. And don't get me wrong, I think also that, hey, listen, the ratio to ETH, as far as ratio to ETH and TitanX, that's important as far as buy and burning. But after, say, for example, we use the buy and burn and it's done, right? And they use all of it and it burns 44 trillion and we have a certain amount left. After that buy and burn's gone, what then? And that's the question that everybody's having, like, what then? Because
yeah, that is a good question. I mean, what then? That's I guess to expand more, I would not deploy the buy and burn like over like a week's time. I would do it very slowly. But I think there's a lot of value in the growth of sentiment. Like I think even if 2% a month, 5%, 10%, a very small percentage, the fact that it's on makes that all the points you made real, that it is a support system, right? And I'm also saying this, I'm not planning on selling anytime soon, and neither are the people that I referred. So none of the feedback I'm giving are from people who want to get out, right? So to me, that's legitimate feedback. It's not a Jeet feedback. It's just about the overall health of the ecosystem, building sentiment, getting people excited again and active again. And once that happens, price will go up. That's the byproduct. So, yeah.
My other thing is that, and hopefully I'm not stating this wrong, and I just want, like I said, I want to have a conversation about this and not a debate. Another thing that I've seen that people have seen is that people notice is that they think that buy and burn equals price go up. We've talked about this before, and I think you've been in the crypto world long enough to know, so you understand. But I'm speaking generalizing to the whole community, so that's the way I'm speaking. And it doesn't necessarily. It could, but it doesn't necessarily. And I want people to understand that the way I'm speaking. Buy and burn does not automatically make price go up. And if you're thinking that on a general level of people listening to me, it's not necessarily always the case.
That's true. I would acknowledge that. But I could tell you just the group of people I'd refer, that's kind of where most of the people said. It's like they would actually put some more money in once the buy and burn was on, even if it was small. Like that's kind of where they're at. So does it make the price go up by itself? Yeah, maybe not, but I think it's just my kind of sense of the pulse of the ecosystem that just having it on would give people, it would be an impetus for people to have more comfort and confidence to get back in the ecosystem. So I could be wrong, man, honestly, but that's just what I hear. So if I, hear from like 30 plus people, I would guess that there's others that have similar thoughts.
One world. Sorry, Max, if I missed it. I mean, thanks again for your invaluable input. And Mask, thank you again for your follow-up question on that. I must say, can I just say that the floor definitely, well, we're moving on now to the builders, segment. And let's continue with this conversation, because I think this is one that I think our builders definitely can contribute to. And it's definitely something that comes up frequently. So let's carry on with the conversation. Just saying that we're now moving on to the builders segment of this session. Desk, seems you have something for us.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody, wherever you are. Yeah, just in support of what Mask just mentioned. I am surprised that a lot of people in our ecosystem, I don't know if they are new or not, but I see a lot of even OGs, they seem not to realize that buy and burn without demand does nothing. I mean, it's all over. Like, they can check other protocols, like all other protocols, like all the auction protocols, all those auctions that has like automatic buy and burn. It does nothing to the price without demand. If buy and burn comes up and somebody sells it down, if you sell it down, it does nothing. Yes, it reduces the token number, the circulation number of the token, but it does nothing to the price. I've said this before in the tweet. Everywhere we keep telling people, buy and burn cannot do what you expect for it to do if there is no demand. It's an illusion. It doesn't do anything. What it does, it just reduce token number, reduce the circulation number or whatever, the total amount of token. That's it. So if people can participate in the ecosystem without, doing it because of buy and burn, they will be better off. If those who are selling already, they're going to sell anyway. So let them do their thing. It's the way market works. Some people, the impatient ones, will sell and get away. Even with the buy and burn being activated, they will also sell and go move away. So there's no win-win for this. But the whole thing we have to preach and let people understand is buy and burn does not move the price. It could make some people speculate more, yes, but it does not improve price action without demand.
Yeah, can I just weigh in here? This is the point that what's his name was making. One World Chain he's making, and I'll make the same point, which is about new money coming in. It's really not about price. It's not about price action. What it's about is belief. And people have been around from day one with Jake, are firm believers. Newcomers with different experience are in a different group. Sorry, pups. But the point here is that the message is that the buy and burn is going to be used. It's one thing with TitanX. It's another thing with DragonX, right? And the whole promise of a DAO to make decisions, I would be like, right on, let's make it a priority, because it's the same sort of thing. When people stop believing, that's when new money will not come in. And I think that we really need to pay attention to a brand promise and then delivery on that promise. And I think the question is, like, what's the message? Whatever it is, people will accept it. But it's the uncertainty that leads capital to say, nah, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. In fact, maybe it's going to go down, because sentiment is so low. And so it's really, what's the clear message? And, what are the indicators to new capital that it's safe to come in? And I don't really care. I mean, I like Jake holding back V1. I don't really care. I do have a question about TitanX because I used to be a holder and I was told one thing, and then what happens is another, which is when belief in the market gets shattered, it's very hard to get back, right? Once you stop believing something, then it's very hard to get, and that's where even in trustless ecosystem and protocols, like that's when trust in people, when that breaks, it's very hard to get back.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And really, this is a discussion that we really do need to, that has dogged us for a while. If we're being truthful about it. On the TitanX front, I really don't have any news on that, but you're absolutely right. I think the word out there quite recently was that there's going to be a DAO set up for the buy and burn, and that was well received actually. So I hope I hope that the delay is just that, and that soon that could be rectified, because there are positives on both sides of the discussion of the topic, and I think one of the a DAO will go a long way. A DAO will really go a long way in settling this discussion.
I mean, there's precedent. I mean, how Dude and Helios did the Helios DAO, it was a dialogue, and people felt part of the dialogue, and it works. And so what's important around, if there is a promise of a utility, in this case, a lot of capital that came into TitanX, right? A lot of capital is sitting there, right? And so the Helios example is a really good example and I remember early on, and Dude and James and others who were managing that dialogue were listening, and they basically were protecting the integrity of the protocol, and not wanting to overspend, but also listening to the community that they needed, a sense that there was something to believe in, at a time that the market was low, and and so I think that's what new investors are looking for the indicators in a trustless world that they can believe, that there's, instead of promise coins. I'm not saying TitanX DAO is a promise coin. What I'm saying is that there needs to be clarity for people to believe and invest in that project at this point.
Yeah, Jiz, I think you articulated that, everything you just said, really well.
If I can jump in for a moment, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Musk. Absolutely.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to jump in. I think the message that what I've been observing and hearing through you all is like message. And like you said, an indicator, and that's what I've been hearing. And if you look at Dude, and because I'm trying to figure out like what's the problem, and that's what, because I'm trying to find a solution for this. And I've been watching Dude for a while and kind of looking at his work. And Dude, when he puts out a protocol or speaks to people, in general, first he says his words and then he paints a picture for them. You know what I mean? And when people have that message that we're talking about, that picture, and he kind of states it in front and he draws it out in the best ways possible. If you look at like his protocol sheets and how he does things and how he organizes them, and I think that's important to the community. And like you said, that discussion part is good too. And let me just be honest with you, a lot of developers don't have that type of, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a gift. But you have to be able to. That's a gift that all developers don't have. And so, but I do think it's important that and developers think and mobilize different ways. Some people are more efficient. Some people, you know what I'm saying? So just as far as the temperaments, but I think what we're getting to is that we need a message. We need communication to the community. So that's an important part. So I'm going to put that up top, and then we need the words to be said, of course, within the communication, and then we need a picture of that or a message of that. And I think if the developers and the people that's listening, developers, if you do the communication, you're talking to them, of course, communicate the issue and talk to the community on it, like you said, daily basis, weekly basis, however, and then you paint a picture for them where you illustrate it and paint it out for them and you follow that. I think the confusion that we're having within the community, like where things are and where things should be, like, because we've been talking about blueprint. And so this is just something for the developers to look at, like, hey, listen, the community is confused. Like, we don't know where we're going. We don't have any indicators. And if that's having issues with potential new investors, then I think we need to listen to those types of things. And I think we need to communicate that well also. And that's why I kind of jumped in because we're saying things, but we're jumping around in circles, which is fine because then we can find a solution for those things, which I'm trying to provide. And if anybody outside of me, you know, so not just me, but the whole community, we can provide. But that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm getting an understanding, and that's what I'm kind of trying to condense. And if anybody feels outside of that, what I've just said is not accurate, or it is accurate, let developers know that, because like developers are building, bro, and they're not perfect, and we can't expect them to be perfect. That's why as a community we come up and, like you said, hey, if you're the community and your project is, and the reason they're building is for community, then they're more likely to listen. But if you're just going like buy and burn, you know, saying why is it this on this and this, and not communicating that clearly in a process, they'll hear it as noise. And for a developer, you know, it's hard to listen to individuals, especially if depending on your temperament as a developer, where you're just hearing noise and not a process. So that's what I had to say. I hope that people can listen to that, hear it, and understand it, because that's important, not just for the developers, but for the community.
Thanks a lot, Mas. Yeah, well said. I think the same key points. I'll say I'll just remind us. I think this was during our first year anniversary, or the first year anniversary of TitanX. I think Jake sort of went through the different phases as he sees it, the different phases of TitanX, and of course you had a phase one, the hyper inflationary phase. You had the build on TitanX phase, then kind of moving into the hyperdeflationary phase, which is your phase three, and that's where we are. And I recall Jake saying that there is going to be more phases. There's going to be, again, if memory serves me right, there's going to be even a sixth and a seventh phase. And that is a kind of a sketch of what, if you like, a roadmap as to where we're headed to. I would think that it would be good, really, just listening to the community and listening to the sentiment that we, you know, over the last a few weeks, really, that we do need to have a rough roadmap as to where we're heading to. And that's one thing, of course. The other thing is this buy and burn, the buy and burn pools. I think we need the community to feel more involved, whether it be in the decision making as a DAO or a different format. I think I'm sure that there are options that people could propose, but it does seem that this definitely needs to be, the nerves need to be calmed. And I think if that's done, it will be to everyone's advantage. Because of course we all know that Jake, Eric, all have the best intentions when it comes to the community. They've put in a lot of work, time, effort, intellectual capital, their finances into this. And the last thing I think they would want to see is this fail. And so, and we're far from that. I don't see failure on the horizon. But if we don't deal with the feedback or start acting on it, then I think we invite that which we will not find palatable at all. So I think this is, we definitely have to, I know that Jake listens to this on a regular basis. I mean, sort of from what I understand, every session, he definitely listens to. I would say it's definitely something we will have to raise again and ask Jake to feedback to the community on. Calm nerves on this buy and burn pools, and I think for Eric to update the community as to whether is there really going to be a DAO or not. Given that has been communicated to the community, I think it's only, it's only fair that an update is provided. Otherwise, yeah, I think One World said that. I think. Sorry, I just mentioned that, of course, if you don't, then people will start making all kinds of assumptions. And often these assumptions would not be the sort of assumptions we would like. So I think we've really got a lot out of this. Musk, I think I'll go to you. Let me just mention to everyone, if anyone wants to sort of step down, we've got someone who wants to come up, but I can't bring them up because it's, I think it's full. Now our step down speakers. Yeah, step down. Meeting plan A. Okay, I can step down as well. No problem. Thanks, Rod, and thanks, Desk. Thank you. Yes, Musk, over to you. You had something to say. Oh, you have something to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And shout outs to World and what he was saying. I don't think that something that's said as far as like the TitanX part. And I think that the reason why the buy and burn is not being used just needs to be stated, and it needs to be stated clearly. Not that a decision needs to be made on it. Like World was saying, I think people are having the issue of like a decision hasn't been said on it, on why, or even not saying like it hasn't been made or communicated. It hasn't been put on paper for everyone to see, and I think that's the thing. Yeah, I think that's the issue. Like, not that it's not going to be used or that it's trickled or any of that. I think it was clearly stated that, hey, this buy and burn is going to be used for longevity of the project, and when the price of ETH goes up, and explained clearly, and then that statement is made and honored. Then I think people have an understanding like, oh, okay, so this is a long-term thing, and the ETH is not going to be from V1 or V2 is not going to be used. It's going to be used in the longevity of this project and for the long-term process of it, and not going to be trickled, et cetera, et cetera. Now, people may have their thoughts like, oh, why isn't it? But if it's made definitive, I think that's a better like understanding. And like I said, if I'm saying something out of the way, please come up and or say something otherwise if I'm misstating someone or not. I just think it needs to be stated clearly what it's going to be used for, And I think once people have that understanding, then they can be like, and of course the reasons why, and then move forward from there. So even people they disagree with it, they'll be like, well, at least they'll honor the fact that it was said, and if it's really good reasons, they'll be like, okay, yeah, I do. And those individuals that aren't for the longevity of the project, they'll look at that and be like, man, I can't really make any really good plays on here. And then, like you said, we'll have that understanding of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a long-term project, and this is for individuals that believe in TitanX. And those individuals that don't, they'll just find something else.
Great, thanks, Mas. Definitely would feed this back to Jake, and I would definitely reach out to Eric as well directly. Good. Let's see, Vision. I think after you, then we probably start rounding up. Good. Over to you, Vision.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, yeah, guys, long time don't speak in this space, but I have been followed. Can I speak in a couple minutes, guys? I'm in a very busy place here. I'm gonna move out and speak in 2 minutes, okay?
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thanks for muting. Again, just to sum up again, I as mentioned, I will reach out to Eric and see, ask if he could provide an update as soon as possible on the DAO that the DAO for DragonX's buy and burn that was communicated, I think a few months ago. I know these guys. I mean, these guys are busy, as we all are, definitely. But yes, that will definitely be helpful. And to Jake, I will definitely get a reach out and explain, to exactly what's been communicated here. And Mask, you're right. I think perhaps just reinforcing the message as to what the buy and burn pools are for would probably go a long way. So that's really, I think that we can communicate and a roadmap as to where we are, the Omni chain, even the direction now we've taken going Omni chain even makes it more of a pressing issue to say, to sort of, to find out where exactly we're going on a higher level. Say, okay, what's the direction of travel here? For some members of the community, it may be, clearer than others, but I think if we've got everyone singing from the same hymn sheet, I think it probably would be even better. So yes, a roadmap, particularly now that we're, we've gone Omni chain, will be helpful. Now, I would like to ask our builders what their view is on this, about sort of coordinating, having a coordinated approach as to our next steps now that we've gone Omni chain and sort of the direction of travel there, and to probably, if they can explain it in a way that, of course, the community members, or our community members can understand, and gain a better appreciation of where we're going. Utah, you want to go first? Okay. After you, dude. Great. Okay. Utah.
Yeah. So I can't speak for DragonX or any other protocols, but I can speak for Inferno and the Inferno Kingdom. So there's things going on behind the scenes. So we've started a private Telegram with all the other founders build on Inferno protocols. There are 6 currently, and then Flare, of course, will be coming. And so Smooth and Crypto has already made it known that Flare is going to be Omni chain. So we are taking Inferno Omni chain. Of course, we're going to base first, and so we're discussing that. in the background. The code is in development actually already, and there will be a new UI, and it will show all the Build on Inferno protocols on it, and you'll be able to click and go to any of those. It will also have a leaderboard. It will show all the stats, who's burned what, what's locked up in liquidity. And we're reaching out to some base streamers over there so we can get out there and let, the base community know, hey, we're here. And Jake has kind of laid it out. And if you go back and you watch his last stream, he talks about a lot of different things that could be coming in the future. One thing to keep in mind is crypto moves so fast and it's so dynamic. The idea you had 3 weeks ago, a month ago, that idea, that ship might have already sailed. So it's very dynamic. And also we've seen, I'm getting a little off topic here, but we've seen how many times has TitanX been copied, and how many people have lost money on these copies, and things happened on these copies. And it kind of seems to me, and this is just my speculation, but I think this may be why Jake holds his cards close to his chest until he's ready to launch, because people take a lot of ideas, and he has some good ideas. So that's just my speculation. But as far as Inferno Kingdom goes, we're going Omni-chain. We're going to start going over to base streamers. We're trying to get the word out over there and let everybody know. And it's a meme coin. To them, it's a meme coin, and it is a meme coin. But it does have good burning to it. And we are only using the original supply that was ever minted on Ethereum. So it's already deflationary. So it doesn't matter whatever chain we go to. And in the process of making it, if you look at X28, it's simple, but it's extremely effective for what it does. And I would encourage everybody to go look at it. There's not a ton of projects over on these other chains yet, but if you look at what X28 does and how much TitanX it burns, it's simple, but it's very effective, and it's beautiful. And so, we are only using the original supply. No matter what chain we go to, it doesn't matter. And the only way to get over to those other chains is to take it through, the transformation process. And during that process, we're only going to burn the original supply. So I think that's kind of the model that's been set, Dude's doing the same thing. There's no new supply when he takes Element over there. So, that's what we're doing. And I like that model. The Build on Inferno founders like that model. The Inferno team likes that model. And that's what we're going with. As far as everybody else, I can't speak for them. I know that there were people discussing trying to build just one universal UI where you could go and transform any Build on TitanX token and make it Omni-chain. But it kind of didn't come to fruition, and I'm not sure we got a lot of founders on board, but there are a lot of founders that are already going Omni-chain also, and I know Crypto Awesome's doing it too. So that's the update I have for Inferno and Inferno Kingdom. As far as like formal direction, I haven't seen much, but this is DeFi. The infrastructure's there. Just I think it was Mass that said that. Or no, I think it was Chiz, but the infrastructure's there. If you want to go to base, here it is. This is how we're doing it. The bridges will all be there for the other chains. Now builders choose to do what they want with it. And that's the best that I can say. And these conversations in here today have been very, very good. Very good. And it's good to hear, I get, sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees, especially if you're so deep in the ecosystem for so long, and you're building, and you've been through so many different FUD events and everything else, to zoom out and just listen to this stuff open-mindedly and objectively is extremely valuable. What I've heard from Jake is V1 is the backstop. And that's the consistent message that I've heard for months now. V1, buy and burn, is just the backstop. But we have seen it get used on occasion. So I don't know if that was to see if it works or what. So yeah, there's a little, that's conflicting. I get it. Yep. Because I was like, oh, okay. Well, I thought it was a backstop, and then it gets used. So maybe, I have no idea what's going on with it. But I can say, as a moderator in the TitanX chat, oh my God, just the topic in itself of buy and burn, I am exhausted. I'm exhausted because nobody knows. Only Jake knows, so that's bottom line.
Vision, bear with me. Just to say, okay, we just got about 12 minutes left out. I really want us to wrap up on the 2-hour mark here. Let you speak after that, then Vision, you could step in. But to everyone, we've just got 12 minutes left, so let's sort of accommodate everyone who needs to speak. Dude, over to you.
Hey, real quick, I think not everything I've got is nothing new, but just to go over real quick, we've got the Omni chain tokens. That's 4 of them: HLX, Element, BDX, Scale. All 4 of those are in audit. Should be launching in the next couple of weeks. We're very happy to get those out there on base. We're going to continue to spread Uranus with that liquidity web with all these new tokens. So that's going to be fun. We've got HLX staking V2. That's going to earn you X28 for existing stakers, plus any token that we want to put in there. So that'll be great as well. That's in audit officially. We've got our HLX DAO Blaze stake. We've got 45,000 Blaze tokens that we're going to stake. That code has been completed officially in audits. That shouldn't take but a week or so, and then we will have that staked Blaze. ETH payouts will go to buying and burning HLX, paying out stakers, and adding to our treasury. And then with Stacks, Utah and I, we've got the code set up for the Ouroboros staking. We've got a couple 100 billion X28 tokens waiting to be distributed. That's officially in audit as well. So that's, for me, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contracts all in audit right now. I have a lot coming out very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for listening. Y'all have a great Sunday.
Thanks, dude. And next week, we would like to have a bit more from you on where you see, where you see TitanX or X28 going. Well, if you like, I mean, the TitanX project is built on base, where you see the direction of travel, how we can make, an impact, or more of an impact than sort of we have currently made. It's very early days, absolutely, but next week we can continue that conversation.
Sure. For me, I want the foundation. Having all these OG tokens available on base is going to allow us to build on base without forgetting about all these OG projects that we've got on Ethereum. So that's really the vision here, is continue building on a new chain with new eyes, but not leaving behind any of the old stuff. So that's really what we're looking for.
Excellent. And of course, the question is how? How do we get that done? That is absolutely, that would be the destination, but how do we make sure that we achieve that? And next week, we can definitely carry on that conversation. Thanks a lot, dude. James, let's go to Vision first, and then after that, we'll come to you. Vision?
Yes, guys, pleasure to be here, back here. I have been following your guys' development, the project. And it's much better to be here now because everybody's kind of slowed down, you know. Before it was like, hey, tomorrow project, tomorrow 2-3 projects, tomorrow this one. Hey, it's way better now. Like, feels like it's at least we don't have a plan, but at least we are working on a plan, you know. That's how I feel it at the moment. And I see the positive in the room. I know back in the time I point some holes on the boat. And people said, man, this guy's negative. But no, I didn't make the holes on the boat. I just point because I saw. So I hope hopefully this new season start and you can listen to the community more, you know, because we are the users. And you guys are building, and you guys, to be honest, you users too. So I'm sure you might be a little biased. Because on your position, you guys are building, you talk to builders, you know what I mean? So listen to the community because we know what we're doing, we know why we use it, right? So that way you can improve what we're doing here, and that way, you know what I mean? TitanX has everything, man, to go up, and not just in price, but like in number of users. So let's revise the goals here, guys. Revise the goals and say, hey, that's the new goals on TitanX. You know, I know the first goal is born TitanX, but what about the new revised goals for the new year? Something like that. And then at least the community gonna know, hey, we're gonna go here. Also, guys, we had a master class of AI. What it was there was like more decentralization, you know, software doing things instead, dev, right? If everything was on code, man, everybody knew the rules, everything would be better. Okay, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Vision. Thanks for that. We're striving to be more user and community centric. Be rest assured. And we'll continue to push in that direction. James, over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much. So Dude has already talked about the 4 Omni-chain tokens coming over, so I'm not going to speak about those. But what I will say is for Baby Dragon X, because the Baby Dragon X and the Scale tokens are going Omni-chain, there will be some DAO voting going on. So Baby Dragon X is the only token in the Baby Dragon X adventure that is actually tied to the DAO. So that's the only one that actually has a real DAO. However, you can spin up a DAO in 5 minutes. You can go to snapshot.box. You can set up a DAO in 5 minutes. Or you can go the long legal way and set it up with a bunch of structure and probably pay $10,000 or $50,000 and spend months. But if you want a DAO that just wants the opinions of a community, you do not need to take a lot of time. I'm just going to say that. However, we will be having an important DAO vote coming with the Baby Dragon X because we have what's called future rewards in there, and a portion or all of the future rewards will be used for the new Omni-chain token. So the holders are going to get to vote on that. The holders are also going to get to vote on the scale, which is the same thing. So we're not just creating brand new tokens over on base with these Omni-chain tokens. You're going to be able to use the input token on Ethereum to turn it into an Omni-chain token. That is the big difference. So in case and you'll learn a lot about this because the Dude and I will be publishing white papers, we'll be doing videos and all that type of thing. So there will be some DAO votes coming in. Within this week, the votes will be coming in for the Baby Dragon X DAO and the Scale DAO. There is no Uranus DAO. We just didn't think a DAO would fit in Uranus. It just didn't quite fit the narrative there. It's a meme coin. There's really nothing we can change, of course. Can change the reflections. By the way, we wish the reflections could be 20%, but the UI of Uniswap forced us down to. We could probably get to like 14 or 15, but it really pushed us down. So the reflections are now 10. We've had a lot of fun with Uranus, honestly. I mean, when you take a look at the bubbles, Uranus is often up 3%, 5%, 20%, 50%. Of course, we got our down days, and just like every token. So I want to say thank you for having us as a builder. We respect your opinions. You will, when you come into our telegrams, your opinion is always respected. We love your ideas. Some people have some fantastic ideas. I have some ideas about this whole idea about roadmap for TitanX. I'll speak about that whenever we talk about roadmap. I'm going to hold my opinions back at this time. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Great. Thanks, James. I think we've got about 3 minutes left. Yes. So next week, let's continue with the discussion on roadmap or roadmaps for the TitanX ecosystem as we go omni-chain. It seems that that's what the community wants to see. They want to see a direction of travel, and it's not sufficient that some of us may very well know or able to sketch out where we're heading. If the rest of the community, of the vast majority of our community, do not know, then I think we're missing something. So let's continue the discussion next week. Mike, over to you.
Yes.
Closing remarks from you.
Yeah. I think it was a good talk today. I have also some people commenting on YouTube as well. It was quite a lot of comments on YouTube as well. We had Marco also. So probably just short, like Marco was just saying that he would like to see like a roadmap, what the main goal is and how we get there. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm just reading out what he wrote there. All in all, regarding Matrix, we're looking good. I think 16 days or so. I think I looked before the payout. So all in all, it's looking good. And apart from that, I think Ouroboros or USDX platform doing very, very well. We had some liquidations, and I saw some people were asking. We're not so sure how the liquidation works. I did record a video, and I'm currently editing it. It takes quite a bit of time, the editing. I might have just probably do a live stream for the whole USDX, how it works and all that. But all in all, I'm going to do a video. I'm just going to edit it down. I recorded everything yesterday. I took a loan and repaid it. So in production, like in the real deal. So hopefully you guys can see that. And we've seen there was, I think, some few liquidations, and but all in all, things were working, and really, really great. Shout out to the USDX team or the dev, and all in all, pretty good. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks a lot. To everyone, I think we're now coming to the end of this session. I must say again, thanks to our speakers, our participants, and to all our attendees. This has really been a very useful session. We will continue to try to make these discussions more and more user and community-centric, as mentioned earlier. And again, yes, so you guys make this community what it is, and these spaces, it's always a pleasure to moderate, because really this community is super. Thanks again, everyone, and thanks for participating. Have a great week ahead. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Have a good one and enjoy your weekend.